When we truly encounter the living God, when we truly encounter the living God, when we see him high and lifted up, when we behold his majesty and his sovereignty and his holiness, we see him in all of his glory, something happens to us. It's not just a moment of awe and wonder, though there's plenty of that. No. When we come face to face with the living God, we are utterly undone. Undone. Every illusion that we've had about ourselves, every false notion of our own righteousness, it's shattered. The response, the natural reaction of every heart that encounters God is one of brokenness. Look at Isaiah's response. Woe is me, for I am undone. This mighty prophet of God, one who was called to speak on behalf of God, he falls to his knees in despair and he cries out in anguish. Now, this isn't what we typically like to hear preached. But why? What has happened to this man who has just seen the glory of the Lord? He's overwhelmed. He's overwhelmed with what? He's overwhelmed with a sudden and piercing realization of his own sinfulness. In that moment when Isaiah saw the King, the Lord of hosts, in all of his holiness, he was crushed by the weight of his own unworthiness. He cried out, "Woe is me." He was undone. He was laid bare before the Almighty. Everything that he once maybe held dear, his own righteousness, his good works, his calling, it crumbled before the reality of God's holiness. He declared, "I'm a man of unclean lips." Now, what does that mean? That's a weird saying. It means that in the presence of God, the very things that we do and even say, even the words that come out of our mouth, are exposed for what they truly are. Unclean, impure, unworthy to stand before a holy God. You see, the lips are an instrument that is used to reveal what's in our heart, according to Jesus. Do you remember what Jesus said? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. When we encounter God, we are forced to confront the reality of our words, our actions, our hearts. We are filthy in comparison to his purity. But it doesn't just stop there. Isaiah doesn't just see his own sin in isolation. He sees himself as a part of a people, a nation that is equally corrupt. He says, "I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips." He realizes that his sin is not just a personal issue, it's a communal one. It's a national issue. The pride, the idolatry, the rebellion of his people is laid bare before him when he encounters God. He sees the deep need for God's mercy, not only for his own life, but for the lives of those around him. When we encounter God, we are awakened to the reality of sin in our own heart. That's a gift. That's a gift.